Well, it was Lendl who became a little impatient in this opening rally.
Well, if they're going to be as long as that, all of them, we're going to be here until midnight.
Trying for the winner down the line off his backhand. Remember, these two have not played since the '89 U.S. Open when Lendl won 7-6, 6-1, 3-6, 6-1. But Andre Agassi says he's a different player today. Tell you one thing, John, there's going to be a lot of running by both players in this match.
Well, they both love to dictate from the back of the court, and it's the immovable object being met by the irresistible force. I shall be keen today to see just how often Agassi decides to go to the net, because although he commanded the baseline utterly at Wimbledon, it was those occasional forays to the net, particularly when he was behind against Ivanisevic, that helped him.
Now, break point against Ivanisevic in the final set, he went to the net and made a great forehand volley, and that really turned that match around. We'll see if he has the courage to do it against one of the great returners in the game. Two of the best returners in the game.
Oh, it's on the line. Accuracy pays. Andre Agassi successfully holds serve to open the match. Lendl's first service game, trailing love 1. Our live coverage here of the Players Limited International Final for 1992 at the National Tennis Centre, Toronto.
He was checking that ball toss to see where the sun is on his side of that court. Yvonne Lendl, the form that he shows, good footwork coming through on that forehand, his bread and butter winning shot. A very meticulous player when he's about to serve. He's got quite a routine. Had the opening down the line and mishit the ball. But, John, that return came back very fast.
Yes, I remember how nonplussed Becker was at Wimbledon when Agassi's returns hit him like bullets. So was John McEnroe. It made him look quite slow.
Ball just over the baseline. 30 all.
Agassi taken to playing in a cap, like his stablemate from the Bollettieri Academy, Jim Courier, the world #1.
Well, it worked for Jim. Maybe it's going to obviously work for Andre. I think that a good first serve percentage for Lendl today is very important. Agassi can really jump on a second serve. Anybody's.
Oh, yes.
What a great forehand by Lendl.
Had to work a long time for that opening, but it came in the end. This is how they got there. Korda was beaten by Masur there, rather surprisingly, the number 1 seed, but a good performance by him. Lendl handled him easily, as he'd done McEnroe in the round before. Washington had a good win against Krickstein. Very close first set. And Agassi always in command, both against Mansdorf and Washington.
Speaking of Malavia Washington, Agassi is playing an entirely different match than he did last night, where he was very tentative, nervous, and a ton of unforced errors flew off his racket.
The old 1-2. Useful way of opening the court up, that.
Now look how far in this point that we can't see it, that Agassi actually drew Lendl so far off the court that he couldn't get back with that last shot.
It is actually quite fascinating, this, because they're both trying to get the mental edge by establishing dominance from the baseline.
And one of them has to get it early. First time either player has been at the net.
Well, I'm glad to see that he's prepared to take these short balls and go to the net with them, because he does volley quite well, in fact. Not an entirely natural volley, because he hasn't really practiced it that much.
Well, he's been playing doubles all week with McEnroe, and certainly that has got to help his volley game. Well, he looked as if he was going to make that ball. He came in on a perfect shot, bent his knees, but hit the volley perhaps just a little late. As he moves in here, I think he took his eye off the ball. Andre rushing the two-hander just a little bit.
So the first break point of the match. Come early. The book says first ball in deep.
I guess he didn't read the book.
Embarrassed by the depth of that lovely forehand.
Lendl trying to keep the ball sliced very low when he hits to Andre's backhand, but that time he opened up with a topspin backhand down the line that just didn't find the court. fantastic here as Lendl tees off and bangs the return, comes in and hits over the baseline. But what a great stab by Agassi to get that return back in the court. Talk about quick hands.
Well, that's great wrong-footing tennis from Agassi, who holds serve, and he takes a 2-1 lead.
Starts off with a big serve.
15 love.
I think Lendl feels that he's got to serve particularly well today to generate the impetus on his own service games. Like that.
Well, that really is the Lendl 1-2 punch. That's the way, in his heyday when he was #1 in the computer, is the way he played. Big first serve, and then the forehand from the back court.
Yes, he was actually the #1 on the computer longer than anybody else in the history of the game. 269 weeks altogether. 156 of them in succession.
Thirty, 15.
So now Lendl has dropped to number 12 on the ATP computer, but with the conclusion of this tournament, John, he'll certainly be right back in the top 10.
As indeed with Agassi, who's been popping in and out of the top 10 all season.
He's number 11 right now.